The story of what happened when Barbara Corcoran staged her own fake funeral at her 70th birthday party, and what that moment revealed about her personality, her relationships, and the way she thinks about legacy, control, and celebration. The video explains exactly what happened, why she chose to do it, how her guests reacted in real time, and why the story resurfaced years later. By 2019, the year she turned 70, Barbara Corcoran had already become a familiar face to millions of viewers through Shark Tank and decades of success in New York City real estate. Her reputation rested on being outspoken, confident, and willing to take risks, both on television and in business. That same mindset shaped how she approached her own birthday. Unconventional choices had always been part of her public image, and according to her own account, she liked being deliberate about how moments unfolded. Control mattered to her. So when friends began planning a surprise birthday party at her New York City home, the secret did not stay hidden for long, because a close friend named Liz let her know what was coming. Once Corcoran realized a surprise was being organized, she made a decision that changed everything. She decided the night would not play out the way anyone expected. Instead of pretending she knew nothing, Corcoran chose to flip the entire situation, which meant turning a surprise meant for her into something she controlled completely. Her reasoning was straightforward. If her friends wanted to shock her, she would return the favor on a much larger scale. That choice set the tone for what followed. The idea she landed on was extreme, even by her standards. She decided to stage a fake funeral for herself inside her own home, not as a joke delivered in passing, but as a full-scale setup designed to look real. Nothing about it was subtle. This took place in 2019, inside her New York City residence, where guests believed they were arriving for a birthday celebration. What nobody expected was that the evening would begin with mourning instead of cake. When guests arrived, Corcoran's brother redirected them downstairs, and that change in direction immediately altered the mood. Instead of a party space, they walked into what looked like a funeral service. The result was instant confusion. Inside the room, Barbara Corcoran lay motionless in a coffin. She wore a red Carolina Herrera gown, with her hair and makeup fully done, and she did not move at all. The stillness made the scene convincing. The room itself had been staged carefully, with elements meant to resemble a real memorial, including figures dressed as religious officials like nuns, priests, and rabbis. Around 90 friends and family members stood nearby, many of them close to her, some related by blood, others connected through work and long friendships. Among the guests were Shark Tank colleagues Damon John and Robert Herjavec, both of whom were photographed at the event. At that moment, most people in the room believed Barbara Corcoran was dead. For roughly 10 minutes, Corcoran stayed completely still inside the coffin, which meant guests reacted the same way they would at a real funeral. People spoke openly about her life, sharing stories, memories, and personal reflections without holding back. Grief, admiration, and affection all surfaced at once. Honesty filled the room because everyone believed she was gone. Later, Corcoran explained that almost no one ever hears what others truly say about them after they die, and in that room she heard everything. Every compliment, every blunt remark, every emotion. The atmosphere felt heavy for some, deeply emotional for others, and surreal for everyone present. And that tension held until the moment everything shifted. After lying motionless for about 10 minutes, Barbara Corcoran sat up inside the coffin, and the illusion collapsed instantly. She was alive, and the funeral had been a prank. Shock moved through the room first, followed by relief, laughter, disbelief, and confusion, sometimes all at once. Mourning turned into celebration in seconds. Corcoran later described it as the best party she had ever experienced. Once the truth came out, the room transformed into a birthday celebration, with music playing and the mood completely changing. During the celebration, the song "I'm Alive" by Diana Ross played as Corcoran celebrated with her guests. The fake funeral ended there, and the birthday party officially began. One of the most memorable reactions came from Corcoran's daughter, who was about 9 years old at the time. Believing the funeral was real, she reportedly asked when everyone would get the money. The comment was blunt, innocent, and unintentionally funny. That moment highlighted how convincing the setup had been, even for a child. It also showed how far Corcoran had gone to make the illusion work. This was not a quick gag or a staged photo opportunity. For many guests, the experience felt real, at least for those few minutes when no one knew the truth. The prank did not end when the party did. The next day, Corcoran's doorman told her that social media was buzzing with rumors that she had actually died. Photos from the night circulated online, showing her in the coffin and later celebrating after the reveal. For people without context, the images were alarming. For those who knew the story, they reinforced her reputation for refusing to do anything the conventional way. None of that led to legal trouble or lasting backlash. Media coverage consistently framed the stunt as shocking but humorous, presenting it as a reflection of her personality rather than an attempt to deceive the public in any serious way. Although the party happened in 2019, the story returned to headlines years later. In late January 2026, Barbara Corcoran discussed the prank again during an interview on the Boardroom Talks podcast with host Damian Scott. By that point, at age 76, she spoke about the experience with clarity and humor. Her words framed the prank as intentional and satisfying, something she felt proud of rather than embarrassed by. She described it as a moment where she had turned the tables and created an experience she would never forget. Precision matters when telling this story. Barbara Corcoran did not fake her death in any legal or official sense, and she did not attempt to deceive authorities, institutions, or the public at large. What she staged was a private, theatrical prank at her own birthday party, designed to surprise her guests and flip the structure of a surprise celebration. Verified reporting consistently treats the event as a performance, not a hoax with real-world consequences. Once the shock fades, the fake funeral reveals a lot about how Corcoran views life. Control over the narrative mattered to her, and hearing unfiltered truth mattered just as much. She wanted her milestone birthday to be unforgettable, not only for herself, but for everyone in the room. By staging her own funeral, she confronted mortality on her own terms and reshaped it into a celebration rather than something to avoid. Few people would attempt something like that, and even fewer could pull it off without lasting fallout. This is the story of what happened when Barbara Corcoran faked her own death at her 70th birthday party, not as an act of deception, but as a carefully planned prank that turned grief into laughter and surprise into celebration. Years later, the moment still stands as one of the most unconventional birthday parties ever reported, and as a clear reflection of Corcoran's personality: bold, unapologetic, and firmly in control of her own story. She did not just celebrate turning 70, she heard her own legacy while she was still alive to enjoy it.